Happy Inner Source Day, everyone here. And thank you for being here. It's a real pleasure to have these 24 hours all together and have familiar faces, new faces. And thank you for SAP for hosting this. Indeed, thank you to all of the summit hosts and summit sponsors. So this is happening because of you and all your time, all the volunteers and all the individuals that are making this possible. Thank you as well to the support for our partners and supporters. So it's again, this is great community. This is great engagement. You've seen InnerSource Hero that was born in Japan, and it's absolutely lovely. So if you have the chance to go and meet the Japanese community, that's great. Well, there are more people than Japan. So I know there are people coming from China and from other regions around as Thailand. Thank you, basically, everyone that makes this possible. So I wanted to share a bit about the foundation today before we go for the real keynote of today with Peter. First of all, there are inner source stories. So this is a growing community. We keep bringing more people, more companies, more participation. We keep growing the knowledge, the body of knowledge of the foundation. And these are just some examples. So these are examples of companies that have publicly stated we are doing InnerSource for this purpose. We are a community across the world, as you can see. Indeed, like at 3:30 p.m. today, Berlin time, we'll hand over to New York as well. So we keep the 24 hours. We'll have some more talks today after 3 p.m. But these are some examples of the community around. So of course, we'll have to take a photo together today just to share here. Now InnerSource is becoming, we can say, a United Nations topic. And that was super nice to have, well, Georg, Wolfgang, Tom, Claire, and others on stage, and Karel as well, from the tax authorities from the Netherlands, to share their thoughts about what InnerSource is for them, and then their journey into open source, and similar, well, basically about dealing with blockers, etc., etc. So that was a great experience that happened in June this year. And then we were there sharing basically our lessons learned from the InnerSource perspective. So InnerSource at a glance from the community perspective. So, you know, we are several organizations, individuals. So there is a Slack channel that you can join. The community was founded by Denise Cooper, 2015 approximately, but legally, basically the incorporation happened around 2019, 2020. And then we keep growing. So we've done already 30 plus conferences. We have community calls. We have working groups. We have InnerSource patterns. Great work by the community there, highlighting the work by Sebastian lately, of course. So thank you for your time and work there. This is the leadership. Probably it's not the right word. Basically, we are here to serve you. So we are here to help you advance, to make your journey possible. So if you have any blocker suggestions, ideas, comments or so, we are here to help this advance, to unblock situations or so. So we are not leading anything in somehow. We are making this possible from the more, let's say, operational perspective. That's our job. So all of this is basically transparent to you. The mission, again, we want to be the neutral hub for collaboration to grow the body of knowledge on InnerSource, educate people and bring as much research, training as we can. So then all of this is centralized around the InnerSource Commons. So basically you don't have to do the job twice. It's basically everything in the place. A bit of history, and then I'll go a bit fast. It's 25 years of legacy, we can say. The term was coined by Tim O'Reilly back in 2000. Then over the years, basically in 2015, this was, let's say, InnerSource in practice, where PayPal, together with Denise Cooper and her team, started all the journey. And then, well, the rest of this, probably you are aware of the history, with starting with some books that were, in this case, sponsored by PayPal, and then together with OSCON, InnerSource Learning Path. We had some partnerships with the Finos Foundation, which is FinTech and banking. And then we started to have the rise of local communities, or even more, Gartner added InnerSource as one of the software engineering trends to have in mind in 2023. And this year is basically the 25th anniversary, so happy InnerSource Day to everyone. Again, Tim O'Reilly. By the way, we are using Happy InnerSource Day as every day is a happy day for InnerSource. This is again a joke started by Denise Cooper, but this is something that we are constantly using at the InnerSource Commons. So it's not like today is a special day because we keep doing, we are growing, and we do InnerSource together. More of history. So the first summit happened in 2016, around those times in Boston. Well, there was something earlier in San Jose. I have to say I joined the community in 2016. This is where I met, for instance, Georg here, or Klaas that is around. Hello. And then over the years, basically the community kept growing. It is quite interesting, and let me share my thoughts about Geneva specifically, which is, by the way, the place where they are broadcasting Eurovision. That for the next year we have to do something like Eurovision here, like 5 points go to Yokohama, kind of this. We have to do that. But maybe our American friends and Japanese, well, we have to explain some things. Anyway, so in Geneva, I remember the community. We were super small, so we were like 15 or 16 people that went there. At some point there was we split, so we said, okay, let's go to do something. That time I at least remember Jim Jagielski from Apache Software Foundation and Denise Cooper, and then I joined the discussion as well. And that was literally the inception of the legal, let's say, umbrella for the InnerSource Commons, because they started. I was learning. I was new to the community. I was the kid, let's say, in the room, and that was the place. And it's still in my head because of that movement in back, we have this here today with all of these people here in Yokohama and in New York. So basically the momentum continues. As you can see, we had COVID in between, so we decided to move online. But now this is again the first in-person summit after 5 years, as you can see. So it's super great to see you all in person. Again, the foundation was incorporated in 2020, and then we have a bunch of books that are useful assets for you. Specifically, Patterns is one of the most well-known assets. Probably you know about them, but this is a set of proven solutions to existing problems. Well, we don't have all the answers, all the solutions, but the key point here is that if you have a problem, you have a blocker, you have something to discuss, the InnerSource Commons is the place to go, because this will be a way to solve together. Again, Chatham House rule. Remember that most of the meetings that we are running at the InnerSource Commons are under Chatham House rule, so that means that we are able to use the information. We cannot say who said what in terms of company or affiliation or individual. But the point is that we are creating this safe environment so we all can share basically our experiences. So InnerSource Patterns is one of those incredible outputs that are happening at the InnerSource Commons. Then we have the gatherings. We had gatherings over the years. It keeps growing again, so more and more. And this is a super good. And then what I mentioned about the Gartner's hype cycle in 2023, where InnerSource is around this area. This is not working, but around this area here. So you can see it's growing in terms of intention, adoption, and learning experience across corporations, public administrations, etc., etc. There are a bunch of assets, InnerSource books. There is research on the concept of InnerSource. You can go and talk to Klaas and other researchers here today. There are events as well, so please join them. This is one of them, our global flagship conference. Working groups, patterns, marketing, ISPO in the sense of InnerSource, a program office working group. There are local communities working group, and it's all about building together InnerSource. And then just a few last slides for today. The InnerSource Commons has been the neutral place for all of these discussions. We have created together, I mean, this is all because of you, this safe environment where we can share. And now there are other topics that are coming to the table. So then again, it's not about having a discussion on transfer pricing in each company, or not to have a discussion on artificial intelligence and InnerSource in each company. It's about sharing and see what it makes sense. And why is this happening, or why I think this is important, and this is my personal thoughts mainly. If you know about the CRA, the Cyber Resilience Act, this has been like a shaker for the open source community. So literally that meant that there was a gap between policymakers and open source practitioners and the industry, and literally the CRA almost killed, let's say, the software industry. So in somehow there was kind of a reactive approach to this, like we had the legal framework, we had some new regulations, and suddenly all the companies and open source industry said like, hey, we have to do some risk management here. What I'm making a call to action from that perspective is let's try to go the other way around. So let's try to have common definitions from the inner source perspective. Let's go and try to have some common industrial practices. I added the word standards. It's a big word, I don't know. So, but at least let's have those common definitions and industrial practices, because then the inner source commons, as an industry, as a group of people, as a group of companies, will have an opinion on certain topics. And that's where we need to be closer to policymakers, even more given the global politics scenario that we have these days. So what does inner source means nowadays, where basically there are tariffs, where we are growing barriers, even physical barriers. So that's a challenge. And we have to do this together. So that's why InnerSource Commons will be and still be this neutral place to capture and grow body of knowledge altogether. And last but not least, first, respect and inclusion. So there is a code of conduct. If you feel something is not working well, we have SAP folks here. So please go and talk to them, or talk to me, or anyone from the InnerSource Commons. Chatham House rule, all the questions, answers, and all the talks will be recorded publicly. So that means that there is no Chatham House rule applying, but then whatever is happening during the breakout sessions or during the breaks with the coffee time, you can call to it, or we can by default basically using Chatham House rule. So again, as a reminder, you can share ideas, not identities. And then, well, please mute phones and everything, so kind of usual conference stuff. We have this hashtag, InnerSource Summit 2025, so please feel free to use this for your social networks. We have our all speakers for Berlin today, so thank you all for coming and making this possible. Thank you, our keynote speaker, Peter. And thank you to our Summit Planning Committee. So you've done a super great job.